Atlantis, watch.
T-minus 3 minutes. The main engines are now in their start position.
For LO2 pressurization. TLT, clear caution warning memory, verify no unexpected errors.
OTC, TLT in work.
Gaseous oxygen vent arm now being retracted.
Atlantis, close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow.
And Atlantis has visors coming closed and locked, and pseudo-2 coming on. We are ready.
CLS's go for ET, LH2 pressurization.
Solid rocket booster cameras have been activated.
One minute, 30 seconds.
Sound suppression water system has been armed. No birds observed in the immediate vicinity of the flight path. Final check of the SRB commands. SRB joint heaters being turned off. Liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen fill and drain valves are being closed. Handoff to Atlantis has occurred from the ground launch sequencer.
20.
Nozzle check of the SRBs. Firing chain is armed. Sound suppression water system armed. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis. A final visit to enhance the vision of Hubble into the deepest grandeur of our universe.
Bypass across the board, Scooter, no action.
Houston now controlling, Atlantis on its way. Atlantis on its way, all three engines now throttling down as the vehicle passes through the area of maximum dynamic pressure.
Atlantis, Houston, no action on the MPS H2 out P.
Houston, we copy, no action.
Atlantis, go at throttle up.
Houston, Atlantis copies, go at throttle up.
7 miles in altitude. Altitude 49,000 feet. Flight control team discussing the minor transients that we're seeing at liftoff. All three engines are in good shape. The vehicle is headed downrange. All three hydraulic systems in good shape, as are the fuel cells. Atlantis is 18 miles and altitude, downrange 23 miles. already traveling 2,500 miles per hour, approaching staging the burnout of the twin solid rocket boosters, which have been burning fuel at a rate of about 11,000 pounds per second. Solid rocket boosters have done their job. Atlantis is continuing in its due easterly course to catch up with the Hubble Space Telescope one last time. Altitude 35 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 51 miles, altitude 195,000 feet. Atlantis is traveling 3,300 miles per hour. Again, all three main engines are in good shape, as are the hydraulic systems, the auxiliary power units, and the fuel cells. No issues heading to orbit.
Atlantis, 2-engine Maroon.
Houston, Atlantis copies. 2-engine Maroon.
3 minutes into the flight, Atlantis.
H2 out P is a deucer only, and the ASA 1 is a power only.
Copy, ASA 1 power only, and the H2 is deucer.
Approaching 4 minutes into the flight. Altitude 310,000 feet, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center.
Houston, we copy, negative return.
And for Ray J, you can disregard MPS H2 out P on the left.
Copy, box, disregard MPS out P on the left.
That call.
Atlantis, press to ATO.
Houston, Atlantis copies. Press to ATO.
Those calls indicate that Atlantis can reach orbit on 2 engines should one fail. Again, all 3 are in good shape. The calls that you're hearing are related to a bad transducer only. The systems are in good shape. Atlantis is 208 miles away from the Kennedy Space Center. The vehicle can no longer return to the Kennedy Space Center in the event that there is some systems problems. But again, all the systems are in good shape. Approaching 5 minutes into the flight.
Again, to steal a cliche, a picture-perfect launch. That's STS, Space Transportation System 125. It is actually the 126th shuttle launch. They used to go by the STS number. They no longer do that. Atlantis is now bound, 11-day mission, 7-member crew commanded by Scott Altman. The pilot is Greg Jones. Greg Johnson. I want to bring back in Tom Jones. And Tom, as we watch this, and you hear the rumble, I know I've asked you this before. What's it feel like?
But again, all 3 are in.
Right now, the crew's riding a very smooth rocket. Those 3 liquid-fueled engines are electric glide smooth. It's almost as if you're sitting in a room and your only cue that you're accelerating towards orbital speed trace is the fact that you're being squeezed back into your seat. Now they're at about twice the force of gravity. But the first 2 minutes are the really attention-getting ones because you're being rumbled and battered about by the turbulence from those solid rocket motors. There's about 2.5 Gs of acceleration, and you can hear the howl of those engines coming through the walls of the cabin, and it sends a spine-tingling sensation up the back, and it's really an attention-getter.
You know, we talked earlier about the fact that we are kind of in the twilight of the shuttle program. It began back in 1981. It's supposed to end in 2010, Tom, but we don't really have a way from 2010 and beyond to get our astronauts back up to the International Space Station without kind of thumbing a ride with the Russians. Do you believe that they'll extend the shuttle program?
5 seconds into the flight.
I don't think that we're going to see it extend much into 2011. If NASA has trouble meeting its launch schedule for those next 8 or 9 flights, they've been given permission and some funding to stretch it a little bit into 2011, but not much longer. And I think that's the right move. I think think we should move on with diverting that shuttle funding into the development of its replacement, the Orion vehicle. And yes, we are going to face this gap, but I think the Russians will prove to be reliable partners.
This